Welcome to Vox Stream, a Kill Team podcast where we aim to help players of all skill levels supercharge their game and separate the signal from the noise. I'm Mark Meyer, joined by Kill Team heavyweights George Pratt and Joe Gallo. We're coming to you from the Triangle region in North Carolina. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. So this week on the show, we got some more details on 3rd edition. Definitely want to go over some of that. Want to talk a little bit about Nova. Also played against George for our league game this week. That's going to be exciting stuff. But I think we kind of remain all most excited about 3rd edition. We got like a lot of details on it this week.
Yeah, we did. We got more details in a couple of days than GW usually gives out. Months of a new product.
Do you think that that's because of the Kill Team specifically?
I think it has much more to do with the hype machine. GW knows that 40k doesn't need a lot of help to bring the hype factor up, but I think that they're trying to supercharge their Kill Team hype machine so that more people are more excited about it, which helps spread that awareness of this different game than 40k, and so that can bring up sales and interest in it and stuff like that. But like, I'm not complaining about it. It's getting us more rules.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I think particularly the solo and the co-op modes have potential to be like super popular to get people into the game and like really expand this game like to like. I feel like we're a popular game. Don't get me wrong, but like I would like go beyond like even what we could even imagine. Like it.
I think they've realized that it's like the perfect gateway drug into the large, into Big Hammer. I think they realize that it's a really snappy and well-made game. I also think that they know that, like the price point's right. You can just get a single box and let it rip.
Yeah, like I'm pretty excited about the solo and co-op stuff. As you know, I throw a big 2-day tournament called the Triangle Open. And our first one was January of this year, and the next one, I'm still trying to figure out where it's going to happen, and that sort of depends on when it's going to happen. But we're going to expand from just a 2-day grand tournament to also including a narrative tournament, a 1-day.
Hell yeah.
At least. And so like the solo and co-op stuff seems really neat to integrate that stuff into the narrative.
I'm super excited for co-op and solo too. I think the thing that jumped out at me is probably like the most core change that they've released this week, which is kind of just talking about how the mission's going to work. And so my understanding of that from what they've said so far is that you're going to have basically 4 different ways to score points. You're going to have your crit op, which is kind of akin to what we would currently call the primary mission. You're going to have your tac ops. You're going to have kill op, which we've talked a little bit about on the last episode. But for those who don't remember, kill op is just a way to score victory points based on how many enemy operatives you kill. And you get if you have a higher kill op score than your opponent, you get an extra point.
Yeah, Blooded Rejoice.
And then you also get your new primary. So basically you get to pick one of the 3 between crit op, tac op, and kill op. And somehow you're able to score more points on that as your primary. That is a little bit hazy how that system works.
I think the way that it works is that both players don't come to a game knowing what the primary objective is. They will choose their primary objective, they will choose a secondary objective, and then they'll sort of combine those to make like a game plan for themselves. And then, their opponent will also have their own sort of game plan that they want to go for. That's what I think I heard, but they didn't give us a lot of information.
Now, if that's the case, I really like that because it kind of solves the core problem of like some teams are just worse at other things. And if you're allowed to like pick things specifically to like advantage yourself, and as a side thing, like stop your opponent's game plan or do their game plan better, that might solve a lot of the issues I've had with this edition in terms of like the elite horde difference stuff. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious what the actual like written rules of that is going to be.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that it's going to be really interesting in the sense where, obviously, like to George's point, having your own game plan and thinking about how you're going to approach the game is going to change dramatically. But I think the other thing that's going to change dramatically, thinking about this idea of you have a primary op between your three sort of main missions, just the idea of counterplay is going to become so much more interesting. Knowing like what a team is likely to pick between crit op, tac op, and kill op as their primary, it's just going to add such a like another layer of depth into this sort of larger like theory of mind of the game, trying to just sort of think one step ahead of your opponent.
And it will
Yeah,
actually really reward you dedicating yourself to a team, because if you're able to like really understand like that extra layer of depth in your team, in addition to understanding the depth in other teams, it sounds like that you're going to be really rewarded for that. We talk about how it's like been near perfect like towards the end of this edition, but I mean it really sounds like they're really making great improvements.
Yeah, I could not agree more. The kill team design team, say that 5 times fast, I dare you. They have a good track record. They don't tend to whiff too often, and when they do, they tend to course correct pretty quick.
Yeah, it's like literally I think the only like bad metas we've had have been over within less than 6 months.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the somewhat well substantiated rumor that the game is going to be played with 3 objective points?
Okay. I saw that. I'm a little iffy on that because here's the thing. If things stay the way they are regarding like APL, so like if elites are on still on 3 APL and are as lethal as they've been, there's a very good chance, and especially if they ended up buffing their toughness, as it looks like they might have based on the marine wound counts we saw from the
The co-op
from the
thing?
co-op thing, that might swing the other direction and make elites very hard to deal with. So let's make the assumption that it is 3. What do you think about what I just said regarding elites?
I don't know if that'll make elites better, because what that will do is make it it gives them more flexibility, and that only half their operatives instead of most of their operatives or all of the operatives need to be on a point. But that also means that horde teams can also more easily focus and hammer the reduced objective number.
Yeah, it would be so much easier for a horde team to just sort of spoon feed the minimum number of operatives onto an objective to hold it and keep everybody else back to push in the next turn.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. That actually leads me to believe that it is 3. That means probably all the Gallo Dark maps got redesigned too.
Yeah, probably, because they did say that they had new map packs for Galadark and everything.
Now that is very exciting. I love Into the Dark, so I'm really excited to see some new maps.
Yeah, me too. I think like aside from a few things that need to be changed about some teams, like Galadark is a very solid alternative way to play the game.
I mean, I think it is only okay at best, but I'm also usually, I am usually outnumbered in that opinion, so I'll continue to be outnumbered in that opinion. It's fine.
Yeah, shut up.
Okay.
No. I understand. We've had this conversation a couple times, George, and
I think open is the best way to play the game because it has the most tactical depth. While Into the Dark is just how do doors and obscuring work.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. I think there's something we're missing too, in that the equipment that adds terrain might actually add a little more or solve a little more of your problems, George. So like if you're able to add like heavy barricades, for example, like that might be super helpful, clearing up some of the worst maps, like in terms of that are like super open. But bear in mind, the boards may not be as open as they used to be for some of the Into the Dark maps, and it's a lot in the air right now.
Yeah, we just don't know quite enough.
which I want it all. I want to know now. Like it's like, oh, so frustrating.
I mean, we should be getting more info at Nova.
I know,
So.
but like we got like a full month, and they're just gonna do these stupid little teases, and
Listen, it's fine. We get the teases right when we're done with Nova. Space Marine 2 will come
then
out. We'll just
yes,
play
exactly.
that in between teases.
Absolutely.
There you
I'll
go.
be playing my Sons of Dorn, and I'll feel very good about myself. And I'll be probably mainlining a Marine team because I'm going to be so Marine the hell up.
You're gonna be Marine pilled immediately.
I mean, bro, I'm telling. I mean, hell, we basically got confirmation that Intercession is going to be something in the new edition with the new the.
I mean, Phobos and Legionary and Nemesis Claw are guaranteed to be in.
Yeah, so we got some version of those somewhere on the pictures they took from the terrain, but those are going to remain to be the most popular teams. Like, people love the Marines. The fact that they're so customizable, the fact that they're solid and pretty easy to play most times. So it's going to be interesting to me is like solving the core issues they have with the activation gaps and stuff like that. And I wonder if their solution is all the changes we've seen thus far, in addition to making them like a minimum 14 wounds or something like that.
Yeah, I think if they do make Space Marines 14 wounds at like a base, and then Intercessors maybe even higher than that, I think that's that's a solid increase to their ability to survive things, because that's a tough breakpoint for just dudes just one shot a Space Marine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know, for example, like Trevor in our community was like, yeah, I'd be totally good with Meltas and Plasmas just not being in the game anymore, which, I mean, obviously, I think we need to have
something that can one-shot a Space Marine, but like you should have maximum one of those things on a team.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
two if you're guardsman and you hit on 4s.
in my opinion, I think that armor penetration is the strongest mechanic in the game, and for some teams to have it in droves and for other teams to not have it at all, and for it to be just an absolute, kryptonite for something like Intercessors, it does create a problem. I'm a Space Marine hater, so I don't really care that it's a problem.
as previously stated, shut up.
I am interested to see what they tweak for the defense and saves mechanic, since the defense is no longer a statistic. I mean, yeah, the easy answer is everything has defense 3. That's the easy answer. But maybe that's not the right answer. Maybe they go back to 40k where you roll a number of dice equal to the number of attacks you've been hit by, and AP just ruins your save. Maybe that's how that works. I could see that happening too. I don't think that's any worse, really, than our current system. It makes defenses a little better than our current system.
And it would also sort of taper down to the point we just made about AP weapons being just absolutely just killer. If it would make it much easier to deal with for all teams, honestly, it wouldn't be the de facto best thing to have on a team.
Yeah, like getting shot with a melta-gun with AP2, when you go from 3 defense dice to 1 defense dice, suddenly if they got 4 hits, you're just dead. But if you're guaranteeing rolling a number of dice equal to whatever, number of attacks is, and they say it is, instead of piercing 2, it's piercing 3, and your Space Marine is now saving on 6s instead of 3s, but more dice, like it probably averages out to about the same, but you can spike harder.
One thing that I think we have got a pretty good idea of the system, but not necessarily the mechanic itself, is the way that they've changed equipment. So equipment points are just gone. Instead, you get to pick a flat 4 pieces of equipment for your kill team between your faction equipment as well as your the universal equipment that all teams have access to. What do you guys think about that? I personally think that, I think I mentioned it last time, it's just, this is probably going to be the thing that causes the biggest change amongst the current teams and is going to change their rules the most.
Yeah, agreed. Like I couldn't tell you what that looks like. I think it's not any weirder or more or less interesting than our current system. It depends on what equipment choices we get. So taking a look at the Vespid equipment that they showed off, the 2 pieces of equipment, it looks like equipment will be more flexible and maybe a little more powerful. Like the two they have is once per turn, this dude just doesn't need to spend communion points to get something done. Like that's really flexible. It essentially gives you an extra communion point. It maybe you have to equip it to someone, but it sounds more like you just pick it and your team gets it. So if that like you don't have to give it to that guy, and if that guy dies, you no longer get to use it, which I think is probably fine. It makes teams more flexible or more specialized depending on the equipment. I think it's fine.
Yeah, and I think it means is like gone are the days where your entire team is taking an equipment. So like Kazurkin, for example, with their combat knives, I would almost bet 100, like all my like chips that they just have combat knives now in their profile, just as a baseline, which would be interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of changes like that just integrate equipment into like the profile of things. So like I think we're going to see like suspender system just being a thing for a lot of that, or they might just get rid of heavy for some things. Or they may have heavy but integrate the suspender so that way they're still limiting the movement a little bit.
Or suspensor system is one of those like team wide things where you take it and then all of your heavy gunners have it.
But that's the thing is I still think like certain equipment is going to be limited to one. Like you can only because some equipment is like super powerful and you shouldn't be able, like for example, Legionnaire should not be able to take multiple Grizzly trophies. 4 in particular would be insane.
Yeah, but what are the odds if all equipment is something that you don't give to someone, but it's rather like a buff you choose to use when you want it? Like, what are the odds they will have Grizzly Trophy? Or if they do have a Grizzly Trophy, like how is that going to work in that sort of more flexible system?
It would work just like the communion point equipment, where it's you can pick one operative and it gets it once per turning point, and that's it.
And it just like upon activation, it turns on and it lasts for the turn. Yeah, like I could see that.
Yeah, it is definitely like a lot of speculation. I do think that that's probably the trend we're going to see is more equipment being a sort of generalized thing. Obviously, like a grenade is going to be attached to, an operative. You can't just have like a grenade floating around that any operative can use whenever they choose.
That's what you think.
Oh, well, yeah, I could be sorely wrong, but I'm thinking just in the sense where a lot of the universal equipment is just like items you place in the kill zone. That's not like it's not going to be like the topographical map where sure my comms veteran is taking the topographical map and just for shits and giggles he's just going to have that token next to him the whole pregame until I use it during the scouting step. Same thing for example with the Hearthkin Salvagers with their token that lets, or what our friend what our friend Mitch affectionately calls the step stool, which allows them to traverse for free over traversable things. It's a token that an operative has to have, but it's really just a thing that exists in the kill zone. So I think we're going to see more stuff like that, where it's things that exist in the kill zone, in addition to obviously what we've talked about, these sort of team-wide buffs.
Yeah.
Teams that will not be getting team-wide buffs are the Compendium. They're getting axed.
Listen, rip Compendium. It's fine.
Yeah, let's get a hot take. Fuck them. Like we'll.
Hey.
No, I'm no.
I went undefeated with High Fleet.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm saying that, George.
Listen, just get better.
No, I mean, no, it's not even that. I mean, I was playing Justinian. I don't want to hear it. Anyways, but no. Specific. I really want to say like some of the competing teams are just not balanced. There's a reason why like Chaos Demons and High Fleet and Talons do well, is they're just not balanced for the modern game. And I really wish that this had kind of been done sooner, because it's you get people doing ridiculous things, and I would rather see bespoke versions of those teams with new models or upgrade kits than the.
I mean, everybody would. The point of the Compendium was that until they got their bespoke kit, there was a fallback for it.
Yeah, but I mean,
people will still play the Compendium teams. Let's be honest here.
100%. From what I've seen from the data cards and everything, it won't be that difficult to convert the Compendium teams over. So, like, I'm sure there'll be conversions and they'll be floating around and it'll be fine.
They will just continue to be slightly underpowered, which isn't any different than how they are now.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is it might swing the opposite direction because the overall power of the game might have been brought down. So like for example, we saw the Or Commando card, they got rid of Relentless. Now it's Ceaseless, right?
He should have always been ceaseless. Dagger
Yeah.
Boy was too good to begin with.
All of the shooting operatives on Commandos were too good. Are too good.
That's my point. Is that if that's the trend they're going with, that everything is toned down, the compendium may actually be stronger in comparison.
No, I doubt it. Because like I've played the strong in quotes compendium teams. I played Chaos Demons, I played High Fleet, I've played Talons, I've played Comorite. Like I've played the good compendium teams, and they feel difficult. Doable but difficult. Like I won that league with High Fleet, and the only games that weren't extremely close were when I was playing newer players. Like even the game against you where you were playing Justinian, that was still like a 5-point game. It was still a close game.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think people overreacted. I mean, I'm thinking of a very specific content creator that I'm not going to say, that we talked about on Discord. And like what?
Ooh, drama.
No, it's not. It's not literally. They're not. They're not even a kill team creator. In any way, I love the kill team community, like content creation community that we have it. What I get upset about is when people, when motherfuckers step in our house and start telling us how our game should be when you didn't play this edition at all in any sincere way, and start telling us about list building and stuff like that. When like the game as it is has been incredibly popular, more and more people are getting into it. And for people to come from the outside in, and especially when you have a significant following, like that hurts our community for me, and it bothers me a lot. But the point that I brought that up, is the main like component that doesn't seem to be changing is we're doing a full step away from whatever we did in Kill Team 2018, and that's a positive thing in my opinion.
Yeah, Kill Team 2018 was just 40k but smaller and slightly more annoying.
I don't have an opinion. I never played 2018.
I also never played, but I read the rules anticipating to play, and by the time I got around to playing, it was like the week Kill Team 21 came out, so I didn't play it at all. But like I read the rules quite a bit, and I was like, I like smaller scale 40k. I think this will be fine. 40k is mostly fine. And then I got to the injury rolls, because in Kill Team 2018, when your dude was dead, you'd roll an injury roll, and if you just keep passing those, your guy just doesn't die. Like, period.
I have two. I'm not going to call them hot takes. I've got two lukewarm takes and a hot take on things that are going to happen to commandos based on what we saw in the data card. Lukewarm. Group activation is going to be an ability on a card. The Grot and the Bomb Squick are both going to have it. They're going to group activate like people have been asking for a while together. The Rocket Boy is going to lose Relentless as he's got it now, where if he doesn't move, he gets Relentless. He's going to get the equivalent of what has become the standard heavy weapons bipod. If he hasn't moved, he's going to get a cult reroll, where he can reroll any of one number. And then the Knob is getting an extra attack.
I think those are two lukewarm and a hot take, but I think your order is wrong.
What do you got for me?
I think the Rocket Boy change is the hot take. Because I think the Rocket Boy is incredibly powerful as he is now, but he takes a lot of setup to make it work. And I think that's fine. I think the way he is now is perfectly balanced.
I think so too, but I think it's going to be more in line with what they're doing in the sense where they're making a lot of these similar things more uniform.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm excited to see what they do. Like, I'm excited to see what they do with Exaction. I'm excited to see if they port over Inquisition and Chaos Cults, because I want to play Inquisition.
I do too.
Yeah, I've been really having fun with Scouts lately, and I really want to see what they're gonna. I'm really hoping they literally just have them go to 4-5 on the blades, because there is no reason it should be 4-6. It's really stupid. And I think that was kind of the end of the edition, like, have fun, guys, kind of thing. But Scouts, I think, are like pretty like well balanced outside of that. And then also, I would like to see the leaders thing not be visibility, but that's more of a wish list thing. Obviously, I want to see my elites do good. I think Nemesis Claws probably not going to get them any changes. I think Intercession and Legionary are probably on the block for most changes, but not a lot. And then
I
what's
would love
another
to see what
team?
they do with
Ooh,
Legionary.
Blades of Cain.
If I can go back to
Yeah.
Legionary,
Well, one team that we know at least a little about is going to look like in the third edition is the Vespids. We got their rules this week. We learned how communion points work. You can use them to do mission actions, fire outside of 8 inches, and reroll. That's all pretty nice. We learned that everybody's got fly, and that fly seems to be more or less the same. There's not any confirmation of whether it is going to work kind of like it is in 40K, where you just measure diagonal distances, or if it's going to be like we know it now, where it's just vertical distance doesn't matter at all. We learned that they're going to get piercing, which is the equivalent to armor piercing as we know it now, if they move or fly.
from context clues, fly might be a different action, which I think is a good way to balance a team-wide fly, because team-wide fly, as Harlequin have demonstrated, is just bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I know people are a little down on them because they think it's too few communion points. I think these guys are gonna be pretty strong. I think
I think so too.
I think the fly part just by itself is going to be pretty hard to stop. I think that 9 wound breakpoint is also going to be pretty tough to stop by most team standards as well. You're going to have to shoot them unless you're like Legionnaire or another like strong melee team that can consistently get that 9 damage. I don't know. It's there. I really need to see them play first because it could be entirely true that they get too few communion points. I'm not sure.
Yeah, to me, from what we have been given, the team looks like it's going to be incredibly mobile, incredibly glass cannony, and it's going to struggle to do mission actions. And I think that's a fine balance place to be, especially if you can pick your like primaries and secondaries to be more killing focused. Then it doesn't really matter if you are shit at missions. Just don't worry about missions.
That's a good point. Like if you max your kill op and that's your primary op, so you score bonus points on it and you get the extra points for killing more people than your opponent, I mean, that's a pretty big swing. Also, there's 3, like if we're running on the rumors, then it would be 3 objectives, and so you maybe don't need as many communion points to do mission actions. I also think that there's going to be like some of the operatives will have things around it, like the long sting. I think the long sting is going to be able to fire the full board either at a reduced cost or without using communion points at all, maybe. I think that the leader is going to either be able to do free mission actions or is going to generate additional communion points. I mean, obviously, this is conjecture because we don't know any of that, but knowing the way that they write abilities or have written abilities on operatives in the past, I think those aren't, jumping out of line.
Yeah, those aren't hot takes. Those are lukewarm at best.
I'm really curious what the Aquilons are going to look like. I really like the Aquilons. They look super sick.
I think they're gonna look like Kazakins, but I don't know if you watched the video on the rules, like the core rules article. But the designer said that that the Aquilons are gonna start the game with like tokens that you put on the board, and then over the course of the game, the tokens will move up the board, but also be removed one at a time, and so your Aquilons will drop onto those tokens, and so. Like that's their special gimmick is that they will drop into the map from wherever.
I saw that and that's awesome and I love that. I just like I know like Mark, I know you think humans are boring, but I just there's
look, I've played Vetguard for like an entire year. I mean, it's not that they're boring.
They're boring.
Okay, yeah, they're boring. I just don't like how the designers of sci-fi games just favor humans. It's like the home team.
Listen, HFY, man. HFY. You know what HFY is, huh?
Trying to Google it without making too much noise.
All right, tell us, you Zoomer.
It is not a Zoomer thing.
I know it's not.
Humanity, fuck yeah.
Oh god, no, that's like an epic bacon old millennial thing. Ugh.
So good.
Look, I played StarCraft 2 back in the day, and I played Zerg, so I kill humans. That's what I do.
That's fine. I did not play StarCraft. I played Dawn.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was
respect.
Chaos all the way.
Chaos all the way. You guys want to jump into some league action?
Sure.
So George and I squared off this week in the league. The mission was capture. We played on open board map number 9, frontline Dorito deployment. George, you wanted to, before we jump into some of the specifics of our game, individually share with the listeners what our game plan was going into it. And so I'd love for you to tell the folks at home what you were thinking.
Yeah, so I'm playing Brood Brothers. Mark is playing Gellerpox. We've been doing those single teams the entire league. And Mark going into this game undefeated was definitely, in my mind, the favored of this matchup. So I was trying to figure out ways to slow Hulks down while also providing myself the opportunity to hit them real hard as soon as possible. And so I set up in such a way where if Mark extended out from his deployment zone in a way that a typical Gellerpox player would, there was the oil rig was right in the middle of the board, easy space for 2 Hulks to just drop in, no problem. And then just get all of the setup going. I would be able to run up a melt-a-gun, hit them. I'd be able to run up a dynamite and hit them. I'd get a ruthless coordination off. And so, I just tried to set that up so that if you were too aggressive, or not even too aggressive, if you were the normal amount of Gellerpox aggressive, I'd be able to punish you very hard for it. That was really my game plan going into turn 1. And then you didn't.
Yes. I would describe my game plan going into this was I wanted to play, sort of building off of the last few weeks. I've been seeing better results by playing a more reactive game and by playing in a way where I'm not as aggressive early on. And I definitely leaned into that more. And I was really trying to be hyper cognizant of the things that Brood Bros were going to do to really exploit me. And for an additional context, we played on the Turning Point Tactics version 3 map pack of this particular one. Like you said, oil rig was in the middle. Obviously, I saw that and I'm like, this is a great place to hide. But getting back to the game plan, I was really trying to give you as little as possible in the first turning point, in the sense where I didn't want you to get a ruthless coordination shot. I didn't want you to get I wanted to wait until you had activated your Magus before I was committing Hulks to certain positions. And I think I managed to do those things. I did ultimately get shot by a ruthless coordination shot in the first turning point. And I think you made a really, really smart play with your TAC op selection, which really forced me into that position.
Yeah, so I took infiltration, I took clandestine elimination, which I don't think I maxed out.
You got 1 point on it.
I got 1 point on it, and then my team folded. I got stalk target, which I do think I maxed out. Actually, hold on, I can tell you.
No, you scored 1 on stalk target.
Stalk target, and I maxed out gather surveillance.
Yep.
So I put the stalk target on his lumberghast on turn 1 because he was positioned to just run up the middle of the board and stage and just go wherever he needs to go for turn 2. I mean, that's his job, but that also means he's the stalk target dude. And so I ran someone up into the middle of the board because I just had to wait you out, and you're doing a really good job of waiting me out, which forced you to stay a little far back from the cover so that you wouldn't give me a stalk target point. But that allowed me to set up a ruthless coordination shot on my Magus, who was already activated, but could just easily see your entire base from where she was.
Absolutely. And you proceeded to pump a pretty good amount of wounds into that Hulk with your sniper via ruthless coordination, and then your
And then I just ran up a sapper and cracked him.
Yeah, the crack was the real thing. You brought me down to 3 wounds. Felt real bad.
Fortunately for the Lumberghast, he was facing a 7-wound team, and he just kills those guys.
Yes, I did win initiative on the second turn, which allowed me to get a double charge with the Lumberghast into, I guess it was 2. I don't know. I felt like they weren't the most critical operatives to your plan. It was the veteran and the icon bearer. But I still felt really good about it because if I didn't win initiative, the Lumberghast was going to die without having done anything. And that's not a great place for me to be in.
Yeah, that was definitely the right call. They were not critical pieces to my game plan, but they were critical pieces to that flank. And
Absolutely.
so like that sort of crushed my flank over there. Now that we're going into the game, what I think is super interesting about this game is that it was a very close game. It was 14-19, so you beat me by 5 points.
It was much closer than the score at the end would have you think, though.
I mean, 5 points is a really close game to begin with.
I would say so.
But like my dice spiked once, your dice spiked once, my dice whiffed once, your dice whiffed once. Like dice was not a factor in this game. You won because I made mistakes and you capitalized on them, and you did an excellent job of capitalizing on my mistakes. Like I just made positioning mistakes. I just did things out of order. It was like I played that wrong and I lost that game, and it was still super close.
That was not how my game went.
Before we jump into Joe's game, because I am excited to hear about some Phobos versus Exaction action, I would love to hear just what sort of thoughts did you have on things that you needed to do differently in that game, George? I mean, I felt like I maybe made a few mistakes. I think that the mistakes I made maybe weren't as like critical in the sense of some of the mistakes
not
that
as critical. Yeah, my mistakes was giving you the ability to multi-kill with Hulks, which I absolutely did not need to do, and giving you a great carpet bomb for your GA2 frag grenades, which I also just did not need to do. Like none of that needed to happen, and I just pushed people up trying to consolidate ground, but that was a mistake. I should not have continued to flex into that flank. I should have moved over and sort of went for the other half of the board.
Yeah, I think that would have been a good play, especially in the sense where Volgrar died on the right flank or my right flank in the third turning point, and I had a Hulk over there, but it would have been pretty easy to overwhelm that flank if that was what you chose to do, especially in the sense where you can really kind of control what's happening and how I'm able to reinforce that flank with the Magus. One of the things that I was like really aware of in the game was just I was so afraid of the Magus, obviously just from stunning the Hulks, but I didn't want to get caught in a bad position and then stunned. Like
Yeah.
you may remember in the first turning point, I waited until you used your Magus to move Volgrar up to that right flank because you had already positioned your Melta up there, and I didn't want to get stuck with one APL 6 inches away from the Melta.
Yeah, and like I think I did a really good job of projecting that threat and being able to punish you on turn one. And then when you didn't do the thing, I didn't capitalize on my board state. I gave you a good board state to counterpunch me. And so ultimately, that is what lost me the game. Is I just gave you a bunch of multi kills, and I lost. That's how it is.
Well, I disagree with you. I understand that you feel like I probably had the advantage coming into the game. I felt like you had the advantage coming into the game just because the Brood Brothers are such a strong and tricksy team, and I just flat out think you're a better player than me. So I was sweating the whole game. I thought it was a fantastic game. Definitely learned a lot. But
I agree. It was a fantastic game. You played the better game. I might be a better player, just like on average, but you played the better game, and you won because you played the better game. I do think I took Lookout, and I should have took Interference, because that would have allowed me to sort of shore up the your right flank, like the top of the board from me, with more stuns even, and that's probably what I would do differently in that case.
Yeah, I think that the interference play is so strong too, just because it gives you such a flexible piece with which to get a ruthless coordination shot with.
Yeah. But yeah, that was an excellent game. I learned a lot. It was super fun.
Looking forward to the next one, man. And also looking forward to hearing about your game, Joe. You want to tell us about your matchup with Zach?
So yeah, going into this matchup, I was feeling pretty good. Cops are like not the best in dual elites. In fact, they're pretty bad in dual elites. I think they have the best matchup of elites into Phobos because they don't punch the hardest sometimes, and that kind of showed pretty heavily in this matchup because he was able to roll really, really well. He kept rolling 5s and 6s on both shooting and in fighting, and not to mention he one-shotted a Space Marine with a shotgun. He got 3 crits and a miss, and then re-roll into a hit. So that killed a full health Space Marine because I could not roll two 6s. In fact, I didn't roll anything. I rolled a bunch of 1s and 2s. And
Brutal.
being on 5 Marines the whole game, especially since I was playing Recon, just made my life very hard. And I just did my best to keep him back. I mean, I'll give you another example of how hot he was rolling. I mean, he was consistently getting like multiple crits on the sniper, even with the lethal 5. I know that like you're gonna roll multiple crits, but like, yeah, no, he was like consistently rolling 6 mortal wounds, and like that's half the health of a Phobos operative. It doesn't matter how much you save from there on. Like you can wipe out their injury with Feel No Fear and whatever, but it's like they just become much harder to like do anything with outside of the mission. Specifically, like I said, losing that Marine on collapsed my entire left flank. Not to mention at the very end of the game, where I could have very easily sealed the win for me, my veteran shot into a guy twice and did no damage, or did 3 damage total, where he very easily should have been dead, and I would have won by 1 or 2 points had that happened. So it was a game of me just getting diced. And Zach, we had a very long conversation about that, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. At the end of the day, if your dice just don't show up, you were never going to win. Because sometimes you really just need to do things to die where you need them to die. And it was a very feels bad, to be honest, and it's just going to happen, and I did my best, and that's the psychological thing of like recovering and making sure you don't get too miffed and just do what you need to do. But I mean, it's hard because it's like I'll joke today, Mark, on our game, right? You know, we try your best, but you don't succeed. Like, it's literally you're trying your best, but your dice won't behave.
Yeah, I mean, it's the hardest part of the game because it's something you don't have any control over.
Absolutely. So it's like, and that's why so many times you really got to rack your brain over certain decisions, because there are certain decisions that are very dependent on the dice. And even though if the dice are heavily in your favor, like especially like when you're hitting on like 2s and stuff like that, it's entirely possible you can roll a bunch of 1s. I mean, Mark, we played our game today. You're the whip tentacle guy. He rolled like what 2 2s and 1 1s, and a space.
Oh yeah, the bloat spawn. He fought the heavy bolter guy, and he rolled a 4 1s and a 2.
So 2 hits, great.
Yes, I flipped 1 with Blessings of Infection, but it was astounding.
Yeah, so I mean, when that happens, it's like you just got to keep moving, focus on what you can, and keep moving forward. It happened again in our game a little bit, Mark, because we played a little earlier to get some Nova practice in.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to kill a glitchling with fists, and I left him alive on 1 wound. Like, as I rolled 2 1s and I had to re-roll into a hit, I got 1 hit, and you would think, well, he's not likely to roll a 6 on 3 dice. He rolls a 6 on 3 dice, and then it ended up costing me a point or 2, and then ended up losing me the game to a certain extent, though other things factored into there.
Yeah, it was an excellent game. Just sort of some quick context for the folks at home. We played on Into the Dark. It's whatever our mission and map is for next week. It was loot on, I don't know, that one that's got some weird hallways in it.
Storehouse or warehouse. I think it's store.
Yeah, that the one where like Hulks can just march down a hallway without really any consequences. Because it's like such a tight and narrow hallway, and even your best fighters, like even legionary fighters, are just like not gonna succeed in that hole if you got a bunch of Hulks. And to kind of reel back a little bit to my game with Zach, it's part of the reason why I like scouts is because they either hit on 2s or have a bunch of rerolls.
Yeah, I can't believe that all of the shotguns hit on 2s. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, there's Space Marines that hit on 3s, and shotguns always hit 1 better than what the standard is.
Yeah, but like,
what are you saying that like a bunch of 4 shotguns that hit on 2s is a little overpowered? Is that what you're insinuating?
I think let's just give them 4 6 shotguns that hit on 2s while we're at it. You know,
exactly.
one of the most overtuned teams in this game's history. I don't
That's
want
not
to
true.
hear.
Chaos Cult was the most overtuned team, and then
I said
Ravagers
one.
just
I
was better.
said one of.
Brute
I didn't
Bros
say.
isn't that overtuned.
No, I'm talking
It
about
is-
Gellerpox.
What?
Gellerpox are not over. I mean, they're a little overtuned, but they're also really hard to play. That's sort of their balancing factor. Is if you're not good at Kill Team, you will never win with Gellerpox. If you're good at Kill Team, I don't know how you lose with Gellerpox.
Yeah, I know. When is the last time Orion lost anything?
I mean, he's lost. We had a conversation about it when we played at the team tournament.
Right, but I'm saying it's a very rare he loses with Gellerpox is my point. And don't get me wrong, it's a testament to him as a player, absolutely. But, you know, when you have a great player like Mark as well, you know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to deal with.
I will say I understand the criticism. I think the thing that makes Gellerpox so strong is part of the reason that I liked Vetguard so much when I played them last year is it's just I feel like they don't have a lot of bad matchups. I don't think I really feel afraid about any particular team when I get matched up into a random matchup.
Nor should you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because, I mean, at the end of the day, you would think it's like, oh, well, the Hulks will only are saving out of 5, but it's like, with the 5 of Feel No Pain, when you're, like, even doing average rolls on that, like,
Got about 26 wounds, I think the stats say.
Yeah, I mean, it should be 24 wounds. If you're rolling a 5 or a 6 about a third of the time, it should average out to about a 33% increase in wounds.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's, Patriarch's only got 21.
which brings up an interesting point.
You've only got 4 of them. It's no big deal.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but the variance on the team is what makes it like if you can spike the Feel No Pains and like you're gonna win that game, or if you make no Feel No Pains all game, you're just gonna lose that game.
Absolutely.
I mean, even then, me and him played a great game. It was a 1-point game. Like it
was a 2-point game. Let's not pretend that the last fight didn't happen.
Okay, no, and we both agreed. So the very end, I had double charged a mutant. One was my courier, one was my reconnaissance mission guy. And I'm like, okay, he's going to fight one of them. One's on 7 wounds, one's on full count. He fights the guy on full count, and I'm like, it's 2-3 damage with Relentless. We're fine. He rolled.
I rolled a 6 and then a bunch of 1s and 2s, and I re-rolled the 1s and 2s into 6s.
Yeah,
it was all 6s, and I rolled into a 3 and 2 1s, and then I re-rolled just because I have to, otherwise I don't get this point. And I obviously didn't get a crit. So, ridiculous dice outstanding. It was a 2-point game, which statistically speaking likely should have been a 1-point game.
Hey, I won a game against Eddie with pre-buff Hyrotech Circle because I charged and fought one of his dudes, and I required a crit or I would lose. But I got the crit, and I won that game.
Well, sometimes you got to make the big gambit,
And that's the thing. What's another thing I like about scouts? They can just guarantee that sometimes, which is awesome, and that's how I play sometimes. The fact that with the aspirant, aspiring aspirant or whatever it is, emboldened aspirant. The fact if you're like on like a couple wounds or whatever, and you can give them the buff to not be injured or something like that, and a guy's like on 4 wounds, you can give them the buff and punch somebody with a crit for 4 wounds, right? So that that's really part of one of the reasons I really like scouts too. And I'm actually feeling pretty good about scouts going into Nova specifically, and I kind of went back on them like I said for the previous reason, is I like how consistent their shooting and fighting is. And I get very tired of playing elite teams when they're just like, I just can't roll, and I would much rather be something more reliable than just deal with I rolled a bunch of 2s and 1s again. I just rolled a bunch of 2s and 1s again. I just rolled a bunch of 2s and 1s again.
Just play Brute Bros with Lookout and just have all of the crossfire tokens.
Or just play scouts and have occult rerolls in pretty much everything you have, especially in those 2-2 shotguns.
Just play Exaction. I mean, they roll really well. They've got rerolls.
But even then, they
balanced. It's not ideal.
And they hit on 4s too, so
they hit on the shotguns hit on 3s. The melee dudes hit on 4s, but they've been given cult ambush rerolls in melee. It's pretty. I don't know It's definitely better than the one reroll they got hitting on 4s. I think Zach. Now that we're talking about Exaction, I think Zach is an absolute Chad playing the Space Cops. Because
Yeah.
God, I want to play Exaction so bad. I want to be so good with Exaction. And I just don't get the team. I don't get them. Them and Star Striders, I do not get. I just am so bad with them.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, because I just played Jimmy 2 with scouts against Star Striders. Star Striders are just really hard. Star Striders are super fragile. You have to play super focused on on your auras and stuff like that, and make sure everything's like perfectly spaced out. And I mean, people have definitely figured out how to play them well, but sometimes you just run into a Space Marine go boom, and it makes life real hard for some other folks.
Chainsword Go Burr is bad for Star Striders.
Yeah, and it is what it is, and that's the other thing is I'm curious, like what is Gellerpox gonna look like in this new edition? What is Star Striders gonna look like in this new edition? Like those are two very hard teams to balance in general. Never mind with like a whole new rule set on top of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the old teams look like.
So yeah, just TLDR on my game. I played well. It's just my dice are just not behaving. Zach is a great player, but even he will acknowledge like it was getting ridiculous after the end of the game.
Well, like I said during our game, it's good to get all of your bad luck out of the way now before Nova.
Do you all believe the nonsense that GW dice are particularly cursed?
No.
I've never rolled them, so I couldn't tell you.
I think Chessex dice suck ass, but I think GW dice are fine.
So wait, see that I'm curious. What do you think the mechanics of that are?
So I used to play Big 40K, and I have bought boxes of those like 36 Chessex dice, and every single time I go to play a game, and I used to play 40K a lot when I was in high school, and every one of those boxes, I'd pick up handfuls of dice and roll them, and it'd just be 1s and 2s for days. Like, I'd roll literally 30 attacks and get 5 hits. And then from there, I have to roll for damage, and then I would do nothing with 20-man squads of Chaos Space Marines all in rapid fire range and do fuck and all with them. I hate Chessex dice. They fucking suck.
Well, what doesn't fucking suck is Nova, which when this episode releases, we are all going to be en route to Nova. And I'm really excited. I know you guys are. Let's just close really quick on anything that you're excited about outside of the Kill Team tournaments, of course. Thoughts, expectations, goals, just anything you want to say about Nova. Let's just lay it all out on the table.
Yeah, so for me, I'm gonna try to get a few more games with scouts in before we go. I think I'm gonna do the narrative tournament to also just get more games and just have fun playing the narrative tournament. Team tournament will be a good warm up for the Grand 2. And I really had a fun time last year. I'm really just interested to go meet some of the folks that I've met on various Discords and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to represent this podcast with our team since we are we're our team Vox Scream. So,
yeah, we are Team Vox Scream.
Just shut up. You're traitor.
Look, let me talk to your team's captain, and maybe we can get a trade going.
I am the team captain. What do you need?
We would like you.
You
know what? Fair.
So it makes sense. Like, make it make sense.
Listen, if you beat the team, then I'll join Team Vox Scream. There you go. That's there you got it. This is the deal we're making.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's fair, but unfortunately, me, Mark, and Eddie are going to have to crush you in the team tournament. That just has to happen.
You heard it here first, folks. It's gonna go down.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna face George, and I'm finally gonna get over my anxiety about beating George and Mark and actually win where it matters.
Oh fuck! Am I gonna have to play against Days Hunterclade again? Oh, dude, that's gonna suck.
It's whatever. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
she's really good with them, and it's hard, dude.
It's hard.
That's hard. That's really hard.
No, see that, you know what else is hard? Potentially playing like Ace, Orion, Shane, can you roll a crit? Any of those guys in the potentially the first round of the tournament and the grand.
Sure, absolutely. Yes.
Well, yeah. So I'm just honestly, I would love to win a golden ticket, and I think it's actually very achievable since like everyone that's probably gonna get tops are already gonna have their golden ticket. So like 6th or 7th place might get the golden ticket. Who knows?
I think you're gonna need to get to like 5th at the lowest.
Well, we'll see. Either way, I would like to get first and not have to worry about it. That would be great too. But you know, I don't know if my play's there yet. I'm just really excited. I'm going with all my closest friends to play Kill Team with, and it's going to be a great time. And yeah, go for Dorn as my Space Marine scouts are Imperial Fists.
He's already taken the Space Marine pill.
I mean, I've always loved Space Marines. What do you mean?
I'm actually pretty excited to go to Nova. I'm only doing the team tournament and grand tournament, but that means that I'll have Thursday to walk around Nova. This is the 3rd Nova I will be going to, and I have literally never walked around Nova and seen what it's about. Like, I don't know what's there.
I assume there are things and people there.
I know that there are board games, ? Well, like, I don't know. I've never walked around.
Well, you can get shit-faced with Andy and crew and play Magic.
Oh, but that requires me playing Magic. I like Magic. I just don't like Magic that much. I don't like Commander. They play Commander. I don't like Commander.
I think that's a totally fair statement.
I still like Magic.
Yeah, I like Magic too. I play Arena a little bit. I am also really excited just to kind of like walk around. I've got a similar schedule to you, George, where Thursday is going to be like my hanging out and checking things out day, playing the team tournament and grand tournament. I'm really excited to, you know, get the chance to maybe play against some of these like, you know, A1 S tier, you know, kind of players that we've, you know, name dropped on the podcast earlier.
Yeah, it's super fun. I played Orion in the team tournament a month ago. He's a great guy, super fun to play against. He absolutely smashed me. I played Can You Roll a Crit at New York Open 2? I think it was 2, maybe 1. At last New York Open, it was a Legionary mirror match on Into the Dark. That was a super fun, super tight game. And like, he was an excellent player to play against. He's super nice.
Yeah, and I just think about how much I learn when I play against you guys, and via that same thought process, I would love to just see what I can learn by playing against some of these, you know, nationally recognized players. My goal, I want to go over 500. I'd like to win at least half of my games. I think I can manage that.
Yeah. Last Nova, I won my bracket. So I went 1 win, 2 ties, which I lost on tiebreakers, and a loss on day 1 at Nova last year. So I got put in the 1 win, 3 loss bracket, and then I swept my bracket because I tied to people in bracket 1 and 2 and just lost on tiebreakers because Nova doesn't do ties.
Man, I'm so excited. It's nearly here, guys. Thanks again for hanging out. This is Fox Scream, over and out.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Vox Scream. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Please follow, subscribe, and leave us a review. Any of those things are going to help us grow. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back soon with another episode.